Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Kristen, and this is a place where I try to make interesting nails, and I hope that you have fun hanging out with me. And today, we're gonna make weed nails. That's right, we're encapsulating some real weed inside our acrylic nails. It's not the first time it's been done, and it definitely won't be the last, but we're gonna do our own spin on it. We're gonna make it kind of bougie. It's gonna be a good time. I've got some fun nuggets of information about weed, why 420 is a thing. You know me, I like to throw in some fun stuff. But yeah, if all of that or any of that sounds like a good time to you, take a second to like and subscribe, and let's talk about how I'm making these nails for a minute. I'm starting with the clear acrylic, and actually, I made a set like this last year. I was inspired to kind of recreate it now that my skills have improved over the year. These ones were made using the lazy girl method, so they were definitely way easier to make than this set ends up being. But yeah, I kind of wanted to try to recapture that magic, do it at least once for the channel. And I didn't really recreate them exactly the way I had hoped, which kind of has to do with the type of weed that I ended up using. So this strain is called Black Diamond. I picked it because it was the cheapest weed that I could get, and it is really dark. Like, I understand why it's called Black Diamond because it's a really, really dark green and it has a really intense purple to almost indigo on like the inner parts of the bud. So, yeah, it's like a dark green and a dark purple. And that compared to last year's nails, where it was just like a medium green, like I think that that's why these nails didn't like fully translate from last year to this year because the leaves look so dark. That's the difference. I'll show you at the end too. I'll do like a comparison again. But yeah, Black Diamond. The strain matters, I guess. If you do these nails at home, the strain matters. So I'm essentially making my own glitter acrylic, but with weed. And yeah, I think what I'm doing is pretty self-explanatory. I'm just like cutting up some gold foil, putting that in. I added some glitter earlier, and the glitter that I added is translucent with a yellow to purple flip. And the purple flip ended up being like a really deep purple, almost like dark blue. And I think that's because it's picking up on those colors in the weed itself. It was really crazy. The sparkles were coming across like way darker than I expected them to. Anyway, I've got my tips applied. This is like a 3XL non-C curve coffin half cover tips. Gosh, the descriptions are so long. Anyway, I'm using this nude acrylic from Nail Couture. I just have like a sample size. And yeah, I'm just putting this down over like my nail bed area just to cover my natural nails. That's all I'm doing. I'm just doing a thin layer to cover my nails. And I'm not being too concerned about doing a good job blending it either. So I don't know about y'all, but I definitely enjoy weed. It is my vice of choice. I am not much of like a drinker, but I definitely like a joint. And if you also partake in like smoking weed or maybe edibles, leave me a green heart emoji in the comment section. That would be cute. When I was researching some weed stuff for this video, I ended up realizing that I know nothing about weed realistically. Like, it's such a whole big world community of people who are really passionate about it and all the science behind it and everything. But anyway, I'm just going to go through a couple of quick things about this strain and mention a few things that I learned, but we're not really going to get into it too deep. So this Black Diamond strain is considered indica dominant. Indica is the one that gives you more of like a body high and makes you kind of sleepy and hungry, is good for people with chronic pain, stuff like that. And sativa is the one that kind of makes you feel energized, alert, focused, more of like a head kind of high versus a body. Just in case you were wondering, those are the differences. This is an indica. Apparently, it has a musky, kind of earthy smell to it, but honestly, I can't really tell. I don't know if I just have like a bad nose for things, but I do not pick up on the subtleties of smoking weed. You know how some people smoke weed and they're like a wine critic, like they can pick up on all these notes and stuff. Like, yeah, that's not me. Probably the most interesting thing I learned about this strain has to do with the fact that it has those purple colors in it. So, I guess plants, this is like all plants, if they're able to change into like brighter colors like purple and red and blue, they contain something called anthocyanins. It's basically an antioxidant, similar to or the same as what you would find in like blueberries and strawberries and other fruits like that. And I just thought that was so cool. I did not know that. And I don't think people know if you get those antioxidant benefits from smoking it, but you definitely do if it was in edible form. So, in a nutshell, weed that has purple coloring to it is like a superfood. It's like the blueberries of the weed world, you know? And before I get into the very interesting story about why 420 is even a thing, why is it even a phrase that we use, a day that we celebrate, let's just talk about the nails for a moment. I'm taking the extra effort to add gold caviar beads and some gold weed charms, although I really feel like those extra details got lost in everything. The nails ended up looking a bit chaotic, almost like a camouflage effect at times. And yeah, the caviar beads just got lost in the mix and definitely didn't need to be there. I'm applying my custom weed acrylic as if it were just glitter acrylic, being kind of careful and fussing around with it to get all the pieces where I want. And after this stage is done, I'll encapsulate everything in clear acrylic. All right, so let's talk about what the fuck 420 even is and why we hear that term in pop culture so often. And just as a general overview, in case not everyone is familiar, the term 420 is just kind of an all encompassing kind of slang terminology to discuss anything weed related. It can refer to the intention of smoking, actually smoking, weed itself, making plans. It really encompasses a lot of things and can be used in a lot of different ways. So, in the most humblest of beginnings, this phrase was actually coined by a group of male teenagers in California. Basically, this group of four friends ended up getting a map from one of their other friends, which apparently indicated a location where there were some like weed plants that they could get and scavenge. To flip back to the nails just for a moment, this is how they're looking with all the weed acrylic laid down, and now I'm going to get into encapsulating them with the clear. So the four friends started meeting up every day after school at 4:20. They'd get high and then they would go on their little scavenger treasure hunt trying to find this weed plot. And I don't think these boys ever did find the little weed plot that they were looking for, but it became more about, you know, their friendship and their bonding and them doing this thing together. As time goes on, they start, you know, referring to getting high together as 420, like as a code that, you know, adults and teachers and like even other students like didn't really know what they were talking about. So it definitely started as like an inside joke or an inside term. From there, it spread outside of the friends group into other peers at the same high school, becoming just like it really stuck. You know, like people liked using the term and it made sense, and parents didn't know what anyone was talking about, so it was perfect. As the years go by, the friends stay together, and that term kind of sticks with them as well. A couple of the guys end up being more involved in the music industry. And while working on different, like, entertainment shows, including working with creators like the Grateful Dead, they were constantly using that 420 term again to get high, and it kind of started to catch on amongst like musicians and stuff, and they started using the term as well. And that's where the catalyst is for kind of feeding this term out into the masses. Because, once these musicians were starting to use it, the Grateful Dead put it in one of their songs, it just kind of spread like wildfire throughout culture. And that's kind of how we get to like where we are today. And I just think that's so interesting that it was just started by a couple of high school people. Like, I don't know. It was kind of mind blowing how it's like now just a common part of culture. And I thought that there was like a lot more to it. Like, I thought there was some significance to April 20th, or I don't know. I thought there was more to it than that. But no, just a bunch of kids messing around, getting high. And honestly, that's kind of perfect. I'm going to encapsulate the rest of the nails off camera. And here's how they look. Super chunky with all the clear acrylic. I'm actually going to do the filing off camera. I filed these for a long time. This was a 2-day set. Again, I think I need to get better at my application skills so that I don't have to file for hours and hours and hours. And what I'm doing here is just taking some acetone after I finished filing and buffing them. Acetone actually melts the acrylic a little bit, so it smooths out any little scratches and stuff. It's a really cool little trick. Now I'm taking some time to do a layer of base coat. This is kind of my own little trick for keeping all my charms in place and making sure that top coat is my very last step. And I wanted to show this on a couple of fingers because it's the closest we're going to get to that top coat reveal moment, where you put the glossy stuff over the like matte nail and you can see everything. Because I buffed these and smoothed them out so well before I even did this, you don't really get like a huge wow factor, but it's still like really nice to see all these details start to come through. Next, I'm going to take some time to decorate these with some gold charms. Most of them are from Shein, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I just had to order more of these little weed leaves because between doing 420 nails last year and this year, I ran out. And I just I don't know. I love the 420 theme. I get really inspired around this time of year. Christmas nails are a thing, Halloween nails are a thing, 420 nails are a thing, and people are so creative. And I've already decided that next year I want to go more of like the nail art route, like painting like a weed theme on my nails. Like, I don't think I need to do the weed encapsulation again unless it like really suits what I'm doing. I'm going to pop out for a minute while I finish decorating. I probably should have came up with some more fun facts about weed, but I feel like we did enough. We did enough, so I'm just going to pop out for a minute and then I will be back very soon for the reveal. Oh, here I am stealing a charm from last year's nail. I keep pretty much all the nails I make in a box that I sometimes look through. Oh, it's so funny. I feel like most people who make nails probably do that though. Leave me a comment if you're one of those people. I'm going to finish and do the top coat off camera because it's not that exciting to watch. And here we go. I'm creeping in with the finished set. Out of all the sets I've made, I feel like this one was the hardest to photograph and video in a way that reflected how it looks in real life, if that makes sense. I felt like they looked a little bit better in person, but yeah. They're still pretty cute. You can see a lot of that blue coming through. Definitely let me know your thoughts. Like if this is something you would try at home, if you like them, if they look a little too chaotic and messy for you, that's okay too. They were kind of a little bit too much for me. And here's last year's nail. You can see the difference between the pale medium green and the dark green. It almost looks like I just have black tea leaves in my nails, but we know it's weed. We know the truth. And thanks so much for being here, hanging out with me, making nails. If you've made it to the end, you're absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. Take a second to like and subscribe. If you haven't joined already, please do. And yeah, I hope you're all doing great, and I will hopefully see you in the next one. Bye.